May the words of my mouth and the meditation of mine heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our Redeemer, and it is in His name, which is His authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect today's message. Amen. Shabbat Shalom, Yashrel. Hola, mi nombre es Kofi, ¿cómo está? Bonjour, je m'appelle Kofi, ça va? Ni hao, namaste. Osayo, or I'm saying Ohio. I see you. Osaya Anaketawaya. Habarigani. Ni hao. Namaste. Kamsamida. Jambo, mimi ni Kofi, ninafuraha kukutana na wewe. Ako aba, ete Shabbat Shalom, Yashrel, Tada. Barak Allah Cham Yachava. Shalom Allah Cham Yachava. Ana Kofi, Helet, at Servants of Christ. Mashalom Chi. Hello, everybody. I'm Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servants of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, but being the voice of the voices and speaking the unspoken. Thank you for being on with us today. We really appreciate you. We appreciate this moment in time, and we appreciate you taking time out. We know you don't have to, so we're thankful and grateful that you would take some time out today to come out and hear a word of encouragement. It is Saturday, so Shabbat Shalom once again to everybody. And we give all honor and praise, as always, to the Most High, Yahweh Elohim. We give all praise and honor to Him for my wife, the Honorable Maya, who lives a life that's able to be honored. You can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A-N-D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. As a reminder, we'll be ending this earlier than what we normally do, and at 10 a.m. Eastern New York time, we will have Minister Morel, who will be giving us a word on the Kofi 40 podcast. You have to be on Podbean and have the Podbean app if you want to join us live for that. As always, you can listen to these sessions later on, and we try to put some of it on YouTube for you guys to be able to go back through and listen to as well. So feel free to be able to do that at some point if you'd like to. After that, those who are going to be, or those of us in the Florida region, those of us in Florida, we'll be having our meeting on Zoom at 11 a.m. Eastern New York time. Those that are in the Northeast region, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Maine, Delaware. If I've forgotten something somewhere in that region, not Pennsylvania, everything above Pennsylvania, right? We'll be meeting at 12:30 p.m. Eastern New York time on Zoom, a Zoom just for you all. And then those that are in, that'll be at 12:30 p.m. Eastern New York time. Those that are in the DMV in Pennsylvania, that includes Baltimore and other places as well, right? But those that are in the DMV, so Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, we'll be having a Zoom meeting for all of you guys at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time. All right. And then next Saturday at 11 a.m., so March 11th, next Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern, everybody from all the regions that we've been reaching out to, we'll try to have a meeting with you guys as well, just to let you know. All righty. Okay, we'll be praying for you, Sister Rachel. So just to give you guys a heads up and to let you know what's going on with that, okay? But we appreciate your presence for everybody. Let's go ahead and get into continue this series we've been in on removing the leaven from our home. I'm excited about the message for today. Let's say hello to everybody real quick. Shabbat Shalom to everybody once again, whether you're on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, or even the podcast. We appreciate your presence today. And how you doing, Sister Beverly? How you doing, Sister Betty Russell? How you doing, Brian? How you doing, Sister Deborah? How you doing, Sister Nadine, Big Brother Thomas, Keith, Romac, Sir Stephen, Grand Rising to you, Lisa. How you doing? Is it Live 9007? Right? Um, Sister Rachel, Jimmy, Brother Eugene, Monica, Sister Latoya, Longfellow, Gary McDaniel. Is it a Crazy Nana from Alabama? All right. Brother Alton, Danica, everybody who's coming on. If I miss your name, charge it to my head and not to my heart. It's not my. And we are also thankful to all of you who are watching this on the recording later on, too. We appreciate you. Her 3802, Lenora, everybody who's on here. Minister Shantae, Sheikah Shea, Dominique, is it Lisa Roche, Joseph Lamar, Brightborn, Black Steel, Money Green, Stylist darling. How you doing? Um, Troy, Joyology, everybody. All righty. Thank you, everybody, for being on. We really appreciate you so very much. How you doing, Sister Teresa? If I missed your name, once again, charge it to my head and not to my heart. It's not my intent to miss anybody. We're thankful for everybody being on here. We have a lot of people on a lot of platforms all over the place, all over the world. So we appreciate you. How you doing, Light Vivo, Andreas, or Slim Thick? Uh, Everybody, we appreciate you so much. All right, so we're going to talk today. We're going to in this series today. Our topic is going to be a reminder about constituency. And how you doing, Sister Rhonda, as well? So today we're talking about what? A reminder about constituency. What? A reminder about constituency. A what? A reminder about constituency. Extremely important. And I won't be able to go through all the C's because we have 3 C's, right? When it comes to that 3 C's. And thank you for the love. Appreciate it. How you doing, Shoe Queen? The 3 C's are confidant, constituent, and comrade. When we're dealing with people, they're usually going to fall in 3 categories, 1 of 3 categories. And if we're not careful, we're going to confuse them and put them in the wrong category. And that oftentimes leaves us with a lot of issues, a lot of trust issues, a lot of I thought you were going to be there for me type issues. How could you do this to me issues? But you were dealing with somebody in the wrong category. And therefore you gave them more, leeway or more thought process. You gave them more opportunity than what maybe you should have. And thank you for the love. Appreciate it again. So once again, today we're talking about a reminder about constituency. Now we're in our series about, and thank you everybody once again who joined us on the podcast, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. We appreciate you. Thank you for the love. Appreciate it. And if you're trying to get more information on us in general, before I get deep into it, if you're on the podcast, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, you can just look in the description with the video for more information and how to reach out to us. If you're interested in getting more information about us and you're on TikTok, feel free to go ahead and just go to our main page, click on the link tree, and you'll be able to contact us there. Somebody asked me even about how to get in contact with them. On one of the videos, I tried to simply just put our information on there on the video, and they don't like that on TikTok. They said I was trying to sell stuff, which we do have stuff we take as donations for our organization, but I didn't even say I was trying to sell anything. But TikTok is very strict on that, and that's okay, right? Because they want you to go through them, pay money, and then you can go ahead and advertise your stuff. So I get it. So if you want more information, just look in our link tree, and we'll make sure that we have that information for you. All right? How you doing, Teflon? But once again, today we're talking specifically. So once again, today we're talking about specifically a reminder about constituency. And in this series, removing leaven from our home, because that's dealing with 40-day period where in our culture, we take leaven out 40 days prior to Pasach or Passover. And for 40 days, we take we remove the leaven from our home. So by the time we get to Passover, and then the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is basically an extension, they basically go together. So you finish Passover, and then you have 7 days more of not having leaven in your home and feasting together as a community. Now, why is this important for us to go into? Because the leaven in this context is supposed to be a reminder about sin. Right? The leaven in this context, I'm all over the place, up and down the East Coast mostly, but I'm all over the place. So the leaven is in our home, right? So we're trying to remove it out. Leaven in this context represents sin. Sin, basically, if I could make it real easy, working definition, sin represents sin represents or represents missing the mark. So anything that causes you to miss the mark, we would call sin. If we can just stop making some of these things so mystical, they're no longer practical. If we're missing the mark on some things, then we're sinning. And thank you for the love. Appreciate it again. Right. And thank you if you're on YouTube, by the way, feel free to like, share, subscribe, all that great stuff as well. So missing the mark represents sin, right? Sin is basically missing the mark. Missing the mark is sinning. And so in removing the leaven from our home in this series, we've been talking about some things that we can remove to help us to stop missing the mark financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, etc. What are some things we can do? And so today I'm going to give a reminder about constituency. Now, before I even get into the 3 C's, and basically 3 C's go like this: confidant. I'm not even going to be able to get into all three of them. We have a short amount of time in comparison to what we normally have. So I'm trying to jump right into it. But just real quick, the 3 C's are confidant, constituent, and comrade. And I got the sun in my face too, so I'm gonna try my best to answer as many of these comments as I can. How you doing, Tyrene? Tad Long, thanks for being part of the community. Is it Elief_fish? Thanks for being on. How you doing, Jeremiah Jackson? Thanks for being part of the community. K Love, how you doing? Thanks for sharing. Wally Aka, not sure if I'm Wally Aka. I'm not even sure how to say it, but thank you for being part of the community. I appreciate you. Thank you for the love. How you doing, Shake, and everybody who's on, right? So a confidant, as constituent, and a comrade. And thank you, Minister Shante, just as Minister Shante just put up for us. If you're on TikTok, a confidant is somebody that's for you. A comrade is somebody who is for what you are for, and a constituent is somebody who's against what you are against. Oh, a quick reminder, like I said, about those shout outs. So if you're going to be meeting with us on Zoom for the Northeast region, some of you haven't gotten the invite yet, or the Google or the Zoom meeting link. And if you're in the DMV in Pennsylvania, you might not have received the Zoom meeting link as of yet. Doesn't mean it's not coming to you. So just be patient with us, okay? But yeah, so just because, so we have this weird thing where we think that everybody's a confidant. We have a weird thing where we make a lot of people constituents that shouldn't be constituents, and we oftentimes think that people are comrades. They're gonna do what comrades do. So I'll deal with the confidant and comrade because we're focused on the constituent today. But let me deal with it real quick. A confidant is for you. A confidant is somebody who might not care about all the likes and shares that you get. They might not care about the money that you make. They might not care if what they're telling you is going to make you feel great or not feel so great, but they care about you. They want to see you do well. They want to see you be righteous. They want to make sure your children are fed. Right? That's a confidant energy is the person that you hate talking to, and you don't want to call because you know they're about to cuss and fuss you out. But you can call them at 3 a.m. in the rising, before the rising of the sun, because you comprehend that they will come out and make sure that they help you to change that tire when nobody else will. Right? Confidant is somebody who might have just finished telling you off and you haven't talked to them in 5 years because you're so frustrated about what they said. But if you end up where you only got one phone call, you'll probably call them. Right? Okay, Teddy, thank you. Right? Amen. So a confidant is somebody that's a little different. How you doing, Sister Alien? A confidant is somebody who you might not get along with all the time, but that's okay because you're not trying to worry about whether you get along all the time, and they're not worried about it, but they will make sure they're there for you, right? A confidant is somebody who cares about you, who wants you to do best, who your victory is their victory, if you want to use that term, right? Your love is their love. Your heart is their heart. Your mindset is their mindset. That's a confidant. A confidant is different, right, than other people do. And if you're not careful, you'll think that everybody should be giving you confidant energy. And if you're not careful, you'll be giving non-confidants confidant energy. You right? Like, watch this. Even there are times, as what I do as a helet, or marach, or harabai, or what you would call pastor, etc. Even with what I do, I realize that when I'm talking to somebody, I need to give them confidant energy, but I know that I cannot necessarily be their confidant. I might talk to you on the phone for a meeting that we have for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and I'll give you confidant energy during that conversation, right? But I must recognize that I can't hold myself accountable or responsible for being your confidant. I can talk to you about how to make things work with your husband, but I cannot be your husband, right? And that will bless them. How you doing, Ms. Reed? How you doing, Sister Ray? Shalom. Like, you will see that you have to be there. You said, if I haven't read the Quran, God explains himself thoroughly and sufficient, read it. Well, no problem. We don't believe in God. God is a Germanic deity, and those that believe in Allah shouldn't necessarily be believing in God either, because God can be whatever you want. But Allah should, right, even short for Allaham, right? Because Isaac and Ishmael are brothers. So as brothers, we should realize that we should keep Allah in his proper place. But thank you for being on, if that's your way of saying hello. Allah also teaches us that we should make sure that we actually can greet one another, show love to each other before we're quick to go ahead and tell each other why we don't matter. But see, you have to have confidant energy. See that? Before somebody. How you doing, Sister Latoya? Other Sister Latoya's on. I'm not. Right? And thanks for being part of the community. Is it Amana Allen? So confidants are different. Confidants are for you. Right? See, confidants are for you. A lot of times you get married to somebody who was a confidant, but not a constituent. Constituent, I'm not going to get deep into yet, but a constituent is for what you are for. There's a difference. And if you're not careful, they seem to be the same. Is it bro bro? Bro Yishai? Shai? I apologize for the mispronunciation, but thank you. Shalom, how you doing? Right? How you doing, aphrodisiac? See, so you got to be careful. You must be careful. There's a lot of people that are claiming to be for you, but they're really for what you are for. And you'll go and see, once again, that's why dating is not even biblical, because you should be a husband or a wife prior to marriage. Marriage is sex, sex is marriage. So before you get married and make somebody your wife, you should be searching for a wife, because a wife is going to have confidant energy, right? But a lot of you guys are looking for somebody who serves your visual senses well and makes you look great because they're next to you and cooks you dinner and does this and that. And so you're not for them, you're for what they give you. You are for what you're not for somebody that wants to be for you, but you are looking for somebody and keeping up somebody and defending somebody who is for what you are for. But the problem with that is the second that you are no longer dealing with that confidant energy, you roll into constituency, and we're going to get into that in a little bit more. But let me go ahead and give you the last one. So there's confidants, there's constituents, and then there's what? And then there are comrades. Comrades are not people that are for you. Comrades are not people that are for what you are for. Comrades are people that are against what you are against. In essence, misery loves company. You said someone steals identity, gets married in my name, and never been married. Okay. Right. So a confidant, and we're talking culture here, right? You got to remember, we're talking about our culture and how we roll, right? So I'm just giving you a different context and something that you may have read, studied, gotten books about, read the Bible about, Quran about, etc. But you might not know the culture of the people and what they even did, right? But there's confidants, they're for you. There's constituents, they are for what you're for. But then there's comrades, they are against what you're against. And they can be confusing to you if you're not careful. One of the best examples I try to give is just what happened recently for those of y'all who are still trying to be American citizens and vote and make sure that you are listening to everything that these people are telling you and all this stuff. Well, one of the best examples I can give you is with your presidents, right? So Donald Trump was your president. People say that wasn't my president. If you're an American citizen, he was your president. How you doing, Sister Wendy? And so you had a confidant, or y'all basically, a lot of people didn't like Trump. A lot of people don't like a lot of the presidents, right? Especially the longer they're in, the more that you guys don't like them. That's what your polls say, right? Polls mean opinions, politics, how they govern you through opinions, stuff like that. The people are poly as well. So they realize they wear you out through your opinions and how they shape your opinions, right? But when we step back from it enough where they're not shaping your opinions and we can just look at it objectively, a lot of people didn't like Trump. A lot of people liked him, a lot of people didn't, right? And so what happened is Trump got in office, Trump starts running, Trump starts saying certain things that you can tell he's saying to make sure that he gets a certain people's vote. That's what presidents do. That's what everybody does, right? So a lot of people came together, or so you thought. But I was telling people when it was happening, I was telling people straight up, like, be careful, like, be aware what's going to happen. You guys are not coming together because you love each other. You guys are not coming together because you want to be community. You guys are not coming together because you think Stop Asian Hate is great, or what's happening to Black people is great and Black Lives Matter. You're not coming together. You're coming together because you hate somebody. This is why you can't be governed by hate. I don't care if somebody hates you. That's why you got to learn how to love your enemy. Love is something that's an action. I'm not saying you got to be a doormat. I'm saying you got to have enough love, enough sense, enough empathy, enough kindness. How you doing, Sister Michelle? You have to have enough of that stuff in you to recognize and to realize, right, and not get caught up in hatred. And a lot of people allowed the hatred of Trump to govern who you are. And once again, thank you everybody on Facebook, YouTube, the podcast, TikTok. We appreciate your presence. How you doing, Sister Mary? And how you doing, Levi? So and I'm sorry if I'm not catching everybody's comments. And if you're coming on, we appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Right. So because you got so much into hatred rather than love, everybody became comrades for a season. And I kept telling people, be careful, because what's going to happen is as soon as Trump is gone, whether it's 4 years later, 8 years later, whatever, y'all going to turn on each other because you don't actually have anything of value that's bringing you together. You're using hate as a tool to come together rather than love as a tool to come together. You're about to have some issues. Be careful. I was trying to warn people. And sure enough, a lot of my friends on TikTok, there's famous instances on TikTok, depending on who you follow, of people who worked together, made these coalitions and all that stuff, that immediately started attacking each other. One person started working with people who they thought was the enemy. They started working with people who were Trump supporters and stuff to then make sure that somebody else got locked up in prison, to the point to where now the person doesn't really do anything on social media anymore and just does everything behind the scenes, and therefore can't do the same work that they were doing to help the community, right? But the other person who, the person who got jacked up in that, they also had messed around and bought that person's business up under him, and basically like then started doing stuff with the business as an FU to the person they said they were helping. Right? Like we have an issue. You said, what's my opinion about people bringing back Jim Crow? I'm not talking about that today necessarily, but real quick, it's simple. Jim Crow didn't leave. See, be careful about your confidants and your constituency. Republican, Democrat, Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter. That's constituency. See, and people became comrades. How you doing, Sister Tracy? Praying for you. Just saw what you sent me yesterday, right? Thank you for the love, right? So you got to realize, like, a lot. See, comrades are against what you're against. Misery loves company, and so when you have hatred towards somebody that is going to ultimately manifest into your misery and disease and frustration and mental health issues, you love to come together with people that can show the same hate and disdain that you do. Yes, Avda, or what you're trying to call Hebrew, before it was called such a thing. Avda, Yastel, Shwi, Ashanti, Gola, Galagichi, Adakitawaya. If you know what those tribes are, those are all Israelite tribes, E1, B1A blood, etc. Right? That's not my focus today. Thank you for the love. Appreciate it. So you got to realize a lot of our stuff is governed. A lot of our stuff is governed by our hatred for somebody. So you become comrades. Comrades are not for you. They are not for what you are for, but they are what? They are against what you are against. And a lot of relationships start because two people come together because they can't stand something. Thank you for the love again. A lot of people come together because they can't stand something. So in this series of removing the leaven from your home representing house, family, bits, right? So removing stuff from your family, from your community, right? And removing this leaven represents in this context sin, which is what? Anything that causes you to miss the mark. So in this series of removing anything that causes you to miss the mark from your community and your family, today we're talking about constituency. I want to give you a reminder about constituency, right? How many people have we, even if you haven't been the person, you don't got to say you're the person if you're the person, right? Yeah, leaven literally makes the bread rise, has nothing to do with the sun. Yes, but we're talking about leaven. We're talking about manna, the manna, even when they were in the desert in Kemet, making their way over to what you now call Israel, which isn't even the same Israel that Yasda was in. But nevertheless, we're talking about something where it's contextual, right? See, even in removing that, people can't even hear it because they can't remove. Remember, we were talking about cancel culture and all this stuff in this series. It's hard to even talk to us as a community because we're so busy removing each other from the equation rather than removing the things that cause us to miss the mark. Let us make the main thing the main thing. And today I'm trying to talk about constituency. See, your constituency to making sure that you're anti anything that you deem to be white, or you're eccentric as if white is an actual color, or therefore there can't be an actual real white person since there's no actual real white color, right? You said he didn't come to create a social club. Sure, but he had a society. Let's see what I'm saying. People are doing this weird thing. You're so anti-truth that you can't listen to truth long enough, right? If somebody comes from a dysfunctional home, see, this is why I got to help you with constituency. If you've come out of a dysfunctional home, then the way things function seems to be the opposite. It seems to be chaos. If you come from chaos and I show you peace, you think that peace is wrong, right? Yeshua literally walked around with 12 disciples and they huddled up for warmth in the cold. He literally marries. He literally goes to visit Mary and Martha. He goes to raise Lazarus from the dead, who was his friend. He sent people out, 35 groups, 2 by 2, 70 people, right? When he rises up to the sky, after he comes back from the dead, there are hundreds that are there. We have tons of evidence of him eating with people and sitting down and talking to Samaritans and talking to people and doing things, saying that I'm going to even converse with to make sure the community is not just only with people that think that they know everything. And yet at the same time, you can't hear because you think you know everything. And therefore, you don't need to be part of a community. But see, for those that want to remove that out of the community and removing the leaven, yes, it's a better they do, right? So in removing the leaven from the home, right? There's some things that I'm going to remove from my life. I remove any wicked thought process that says that I'm not supposed to make sure that Yashua wanted a better community. I came for the lost sheep of Israel, right? I came that anybody who wants to be grafted in can be grafted in. That's Romans chapter 11. I came so that it's not my will that any would perish, but that all would have everlasting life. I came so that we could live together. I go to prepare a place for thee, that where I am, there you shall be also. I come against anything. In the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, I come against it right now. If you've decided, right, I'm not here for that. That's not my culture. You're not my standard. If your standard is not being community, then you don't comprehend how the word of Yah works, because everybody in there speaking was part of a community. Shalom just means peace. Technically, shalom is in the original language, sheen, lamed, mem. That would be the shalom would be basically destroying anything off of you through the great shepherd that will cause you not to be able to function in the water, the blood, and the spirit. But shalom ultimately means we're asking for peace that would break any yoke of bondage off of you. Come on, right? So people want peace, but they don't want community. People want the Bible, but they don't want to deal with the community that wrote the Bible. And thank you for the compliment. Appreciate it. How you doing? Thanks for being part of Community Saucy. You said, I'm just making things up. Tell me where I'm making it up from. You don't know Hebrew characters, so you don't know that every character has a meaning. It's 3 characters long. Go do some research. I teach this stuff, by the way. Started a university by the grace of Yah, and so I teach this stuff. See, but you don't know it. See what I'm saying? People are so quick to be against it because you don't know. Just because you don't know something doesn't mean that I'm not intimate with it. To know something is to be intimate. I'm intimate with my husband, Yahweh Elohim, in the spirit, before somebody gets some weird ideas and starts going there. Because we seem to have a lot of people that want to come on with some weird stuff. But see, you got to be confident in who you are, right? That's confidant energy. I'm for the Most High. I'm a confidant. He's for me. That's a confidant. Right? Man should not live by bread alone, but by every word out of the mouth of Yah. Guess what that means? That means that I know how every word is formed that he spoke to his prophets and what the prophets wrote down in the characters, 22 characters to be exact. They go Aleph, Bet, Gamal. Y'all don't even know what I'm talking about. Some of you, Dalet, He, Yah. I'm sorry, He, Vav, Zion, Chit, Tit, Yah, Kaf, Lamed, Mim, Nun, Samek, Ayin, Pe, Tisade. And if I were to tell you what they mean in order, they mean this: the Father, who's one with the Son, who comes out the right family, humbled himself, right? Becoming the door to the Holy Spirit, that something might be nailed in place to keep the family in place. Therefore, we have a weapon that cultivates, allowing us to be protected, at the same time to have wisdom. Therefore, we are being pushed by his hand, remaining in his hand, that we might be shepherds, we might be under the great shepherd as a sheep, allowing us to function in the water, the blood, and the spirit, that we might be perfected. Therefore, making sure we can sow seed in thorny ground, allowing us to see different, to speak different, and become fishermen of men, that we might be able to be prepared and have some things cut off from us, that we might be able to be the heads underneath the ultimate head of the universe. Therefore, we can sheen first character shalom, like I was saying, we can escape destruction because tab, it's already been finished on the cross. Right. But now if you that's just the Hebrew characters. That's what you would call the alphabet, because you know Greek, but the alphabet comes from the aleph bet. So you can't even comprehend the alphabet, which, by the way, only 6 of the characters technically have a meaning anyway, and they have 27. Right. That's where you get 27 from, those of you trying to do 27 in modern Hebrew. See, so you don't comprehend. But see, I'm a confidant with the Most High, and I comprehend there's a difference between a confidant and a constituent. See, constituents are not for you, that's confidants, but constituents are for what you are for. And today I've come to give you a reminder about constituency. In line mode, we got to be. You see, we got to be, sis. I'm intimate with Yahshua's spirit, of course. That's what to know somebody in the physical means to be able to lay down with them, to be married. That's what in the culture of the people who wrote that, thank you for the love, and the people who wrote the Bible, to know somebody means to be intimate with them, to lay down, to conceive a baby. That's what to know somebody is. If you're married and you can't know somebody, you can't know somebody if you're not intimate with them, and you cannot produce any kind of fruit. See, biblically speaking, marriage is different. Culturally speaking, marriage is different. We don't even comprehend when it says, behold, I stand at the door and knock. That's a wedding ceremony. Matter of fact, it's not even a wedding ceremony. That's the ceremony that you have to see if both parties will agree that their children can be married. So if he's saying, behold, I stand at the door and knock, that means while y'all are having your services, Yahshua's out there talking about, hey, can we actually be betrothed? That's what it's talking about. But we don't even know what that is. And that knocking ceremony still goes on in a lot of tribes all over the world today, by the way. See, that's why the difference between Cristianos and followers of the way. If you even know that there's a such word as Cristianos, that's why there's a difference between Cirque, right, and Quareschem. By the way, Cirque, it's where you get the word church from, but Cirque sounds like another word, doesn't it? Cirque means circus. Exactly, because confidants are not worried about how much credit they get. How you doing, Minister Tamara? They're not worried about how much credit they receive. Confidants are just somebody who's there for you, even if you don't want to hear it. Sometimes they're there for you. But see, a lot of people are constituents, and once again, today we're focusing on a reminder about constituents. Can you see already constituent energy popping up versus confidant energy that's been popping up just virtually? A lot of people swear they're confidants, but they're constituents. They swear they're for you, Yahshua, but they're constituents. They're allies. Allies are constituents, right? An ally, there's nothing like a great ally, but allies are limited because they sign treaties. The treaty says that I have to take care of my country too. If your country needs something, we'll provide stuff up to this point, but we're not going past this point. That's what a treaty is. You think a treaty is we'll just stop fighting each other. Yeah, true, we won't fight each other, but we will support each other, but only to a limit. Because there's a difference between being a countryman, a confidant, and being somebody who's going to help you to a certain extent, a constituent. And how you doing, Carrie? There's a difference between the two. Thanks for being part of the community element. There's a difference between the two. How you doing, Elroy? So you got to learn the difference. And once again, a reminder. Watch this. What does the word mind mean? See, mind is talking about pneuma. Pneuma in the Greek is talking about ravak or ruach or spirit. Mind your manners. Mind your manners. Tomorrow we're going to talk about mind over matter. See, but mind your manners. What are they saying? Spiritually think about your manners. But see, there's a difference between the mind and the brain. A lot of people speak with the brain, but not with the mind. So if you're always worried about the brain first and never the mind, then how can you be a confidant of the Most High? You're a constituent. So when I talk about reminder about constituency, I'm talking about this should be your mindset, but every day you got to crucify the flesh. Every day you got to renew your mind. Every day you got to make sure you're studying yourself. Every day you got to look to see if even those who keep talking about Kemetic stuff, do you know the 42 confessions of Ma'at? Ma'at is supposed to be your nature of righteousness. What you're supposed to do is say those 42 confessions when you wake up, go through your day, and then at the end of the day, say those 42 confessions again and check yourself to see if you actually kept what it is that you stated. Those of you who are so Afrocentric in this, because I'm Afrocentric as well. You can't be Yastel without being Afrocentric, right? But those of you who are so Afrocentric in this, right? And usually what you think Afrocentric means is you only deal in Kemet, somewhat, right? But have you even taken time out to study that? See, you say you're a confidant when it comes to Kemeticism. Chemistry, the study of Kemet, the study of chemistry, same word. And chemistry means the study, basically, of those that are melanated and what they did in that culture as far as those particular melanated people. But you can't study Kemet if you don't know what Kush is. You can't study Nubia if you don't know what Kush is. But you can't study Kush if you don't even know about who you call Ham. Right? And you can't study Ham if you don't know about Na'ah, who you call Noah. And you can't study Noah if you don't know about Lamech. And you can't study Lamech if you don't know about Methuselah. And you can't study Methuselah if you don't know about Enoch. You swear you have confidant energy, but you can't have confidant energy if you don't even know that. You're not for what they're for. You don't even speak the language that these people spoke. You're definitely coming out to the retreat. I'm on, praise you. Right? How you doing, Yaron? I'm sorry, Juice Dripping. You said what I need to check first. I apologize. I missed where you said it. Sorry about that. How you doing, Terrence? See what I'm saying? Like, you're talking about Kemet Street and you don't even know the ideas of the pharaohs. Do you not know, historically speaking, that the first pharaoh was considered to be righteous according to Elohim and those who followed Elohim? And that's why he was allowed to be king of that region? He was not trying to be a Netcher, what you call a god. A god in Kemet, they don't have gods. They have Netchers. That's why the 10 plagues, if you study the 10 plagues are specifically going against 10 different Netchers. There was a Netcher of the water. That's why I turned to blood. There was a Netcher of the frogs. That's why he dealt with the frogs next. There was a Netcher of the dust of the ground. There was a Netcher that was over the locusts and over the wind. There was a Netcher who was over the sky, dark in the sky. There was a Netcher, rain from the sky. There was a Netcher of the sun, Ra. That's why Pharaoh, if you study who Pharaoh is, he was supposed to be the physical embodiment of Ra, or the physical embodiment of the son of Ra. So Pharaoh says, man, I'm still not going to let y'all go, whatever. He says, because he starts talking about himself, who he is. He's supposed to be the son of Ra. You ain't going to bother me. You ain't going to do nothing to me. I'm a Netcher. You can't handle this. So he says, okay, no problem. I'll darken the sky. But you don't know the culture, because you're not a confidant. You're not for this. You are for what it is for. What can it get me? Yeah, like Anansi. Now, Anansi is not necessarily a Netcher. They would have called him a Netcher in Kemet, but Anansi is on the other side, but same deal, right? Like Anansi is not a god. Anansi on Yom Kippur, very similar, but not the same, because different cultures is talking about something different. So even if you don't believe in it spiritually, even if you just think it's nice fables and stories and all that, you still got to be honest about the fact of these cultures. You must interpret what they mean through their culture. Thank you for being part of the community, Jason. Appreciate you. See, so it's like you have to be in a position to even see, what are we talking about? Who are we talking about? Interpretation, right? The Bible is a long case study. Everything's based off of law: kingdom law, marital law, law of attraction, law of first mention, universal law, substantive law, natural law, public law, private law, remedial law, procedural law, common law, maritime law of admiralty, law of equity. It's law, and laws don't give rights. Laws protect rights. And if you're going to talk about what somebody wrote down as their laws within their culture, within their prism, then you have to have proper interpretation. You cannot interpret something properly in law without making sure you know who said it, when they said it, why they said it, where they said it, what was the need of it, who was listening to it, who were they referring to, et cetera, et cetera. But people take pieces of stuff and then try to say, I'm going to take a piece of this. I like this piece of Africa, and I'm going to take this piece of Africa, and I'm going to take this piece of Africa, and then I'm going to take this piece of what I call indigenous Australian, and what I call indigenous American, and what I call indigenous, and I'm going to take pieces of it and act like they all go together. They don't even all go together. That's one of the reasons why, and I'm not offended. I don't celebrate Christmas. I also don't celebrate I don't even know the y'all gonna get mad at me because I don't even know the word because I don't really care for it. Harambe, what is it? I'm sorry, y'all. Kwanzaa. Somebody just said we're gonna take your card. That's okay, take it. Kwanzaa, because Kwanzaa was made up in the 1960s by somebody who was just like, well, we should have our own version of Christmas for ourselves. Well, if it's wrong to make up something and celebrate it for Christmas, then why is it right to celebrate something that's made up for us? That's Balaam doctrine. It tells you about that in Revelation chapter 2, verse 15. It tells you about it in what you claim is the Old Testament. So go look it up. Well, I know you shout out Harambe. I just couldn't remember. I couldn't remember. I know that was one of the days that you shout out, right? But I'm just saying, like, why would you do that? It was just made up. It has nothing to do with where you come from. Somebody made it up because you're in the land of your captivity. And we make up a lot of stuff in the land of our captivity. But you need to be confident. If you say that you want to be about an African culture, then find out what Ghana actually is. What is the original Ghana? Why do we call Ghana what it is today? And I said we because I be from there. My peoples be from there if you don't like that. Right? I'm not talking about DNA. I'm talking about my family. Okay? Right? So if you want to know what's Ghanaian and why we even call Ghana Ghana, not just because of colonization, but once we got the land back, why we decided to call what wasn't once called Ghana. Ghana used to be further north, but why we now call where we are Ghana, and why we have problems with people such as Gandhi, and they tried to build a statue in one of our universities, and we kicked them out. We got the statue out. If you want to know why that is, then study the culture. Don't just say you're Ghanaian and you don't know nothing about Ghana. Don't say that you're NOI and you don't know nothing about Elijah Muhammad, right? And by the way, about W.F. Muhammad. And by the way, about his father, who's supposed to be the first God. Which means that if you're NOI, technically your God was somebody who was on earth. The God who was on earth, that's why they have to say everybody's God. You think that they say everybody's God because no, they say that they have one particular God that they come from. It's two generations. It's basically one generation, I guess you could say. But Elijah Muhammad supposedly met Jesus in the flesh, right? They believe in Jesus in the flesh, and they believe that he would come back. Farrakhan is supposed to be him coming back. That's what they teach. That's what they teach. I'm not telling you so. They're supposed to be. Farrakhan says he's supposed to be Jesus in the flesh. He's coming back to be 2 generations before, which was W.F. Muhammad, who was the one who taught Elijah Muhammad. And then if you look at W.F. Muhammad, he comes from a white mother and a black father. His black father, who I believe is supposed to be from not Papua New Guinea. Where did they do Lord of the Rings? Whatever country they did, New Zealand? Was Lord of the Rings in New Zealand? Maybe not, but New Zealand, right? His father was supposed to be black from New Zealand. His mom was supposed to be white from somewhere else. He came to the States, and so he's supposed to be a mix. And they say that the black God got the white devil to be subject to him, and that's why he's your God. So you're not intimate with it. I'm not saying Farrakhan has never spoken anything of wisdom, but hear what I'm saying. There's some things that you're seeing and hearing, and you're like, well, I don't know where that comes from. It's because you're not intimate with it, right? You're not a confidant. You're a constituent. You're for what it's for. You like what it gets you. You like how it makes you feel, but you don't think about, hey, for every choice, there's an invoice. For every time I open up to that, there's something that comes into my heart. I might want to learn what that is. I know about it because I not only studied it, there was a time where I was agnostic and I actually tried to become one. You said the old gods. Once again, I don't believe in gods. Gods are Germanic deities. So if that's what you believe in, that's what you believe in, right? Elohim is not a god. A pharaoh, whether they become a Netzer or they were born a Netzer or whatever, or all these Netzers you worship, if you're Kemetic, those are not gods, right? They don't have gods in Yoruba. They have Eureka, right? They don't have what you have. You have a context where you're trying to come out and say this stuff, and these people that you say you believe in what they believe in, they don't believe in what you believe in. See, once again, today we're talking about what? A reminder about constituency. Constituents are not for you. They are for what you are for. I want to use enough of it to get me what I want. And see, if you know about a constituent is somebody who's not for you, but they're for what you are for. So they will get with you and they'll help you out and they'll love on you. They're great people, but you got to know who they are. You got to put them in their place. They're great people. They'll work with you, but if somebody can get you there faster, they'll roll out. Right? If you won't let them do whatever they want, but they get with somebody who will let them do whatever they want, or at least a little more, they'll roll out. Right? If you don't say the name that they want you to say, right, they'll roll out. If you don't agree with every statement that they make, they'll roll out. If you're ashamed to be yourself, if you're not ashamed to be yourself, if you do stuff that is who you are and you do it out in public, they say, oh, I don't like that. They'll roll out on you. If you stand for truth and say you must stand for truth and they don't like to be held accountable, they'll roll out. But they were with you till you held them accountable. They were with you till you told the truth. They were with you until you put your culture out there and made it very clear who you were and what you stood for. But the second that you say that I'm going to stand up for truth, they'll roll out. They are constituents, and you shouldn't be mad at them. They're still to be celebrated. They're still to be honored for what they are. Amen. People will hate you for the namesake, right? They'll love you up until the point where, and it's, by the way, not for your namesake, for Yeshua's namesake, right? And blessed are we when they revile you and persecute you and say all manner of evil against you. That's the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 5, verse 10 through 12. They did the same thing to the prophets that came before you. So you're in great hands when people start coming against you because you speak what your people spoke before. If the prophets spoke this, it's always interesting, right? Let's just say, I know y'all don't like me using terminology like this, but let's just for the sake of making this a parable, if you will, let's just say that, I don't know, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. might be considered to be someone that some would call a prophet. Let's just say that, right? So if I come behind and I say that we should come together under what the Most High wants for us, and we should stop being racist towards one another, and we should stop having two Americas, and we should make sure that we can all hold hands and worship and come together. And somebody says, man, I hate the fact you talk about racism. If they killed him because he talked about racism, if people don't like me because I don't talk about racism, I'm in great company. You hear what I'm saying? See, I'm in great company. If I was doing well, if I'm bringing about change, if people are coming together, if marriages are coming together, marriages are growing. Because some people think all we do is a live session. We do stuff all over the country all the time for people, right? By the way, those that have been giving help to that family that's in need, we appreciate you. If you'd like to be able to give some help, we're still going to be taking in donations. We've already been sending your donations straight to them. If you'd like to help, you guys know what to do. Just make sure that you say who it is and all that stuff, or what you want it to be used for, so we use it properly, right? But if I'm going through all this stuff and we're causing change, we're causing hope, and we're helping people to see stuff they've never seen before, and we're diligent, and people are traveling to come together, and people are making their communities better, and marriages are being saved, and family members are coming back together with their children and all this stuff, and somebody says, oh, see, I don't like it because you didn't use the name that I want you to use. Well, then guess what? I'm in great company. If you'll kill my reputation because I'm giving something that causes people to change their behavior, I'm causing people to change for righteousness. They're making a decision to change. I can't change them. It's causing them to change. They hate it all you want, right? See, but some people will be with you once again. They're constituents. They're for what you're for. They're not for you. This is a reminder, a spiritual reminder, a pneumatical thought. By the way, pneuma that I told you earlier, the mind translates to the word pneuma in the Greek. For those of you who always like to go to the Greek, right? The word pneuma in the Greek, it actually, pneumatical thought is this. It is stoic thought that marries the spirit the soul and the body together. So I want to give you a reminder about constituency. Use a constituent like a constituent would use you. But see, don't use them toward the same end. The constituent's using you just to get where they need to. And that's okay. Like a lot of you had friends before, and your friend be like, man, you know what? You make me feel great. I love it when I come over here and you do this. You always cooking. You always taking us somewhere. You don't leave us behind. You don't do this, right? All of a sudden you get married. Then people be, why are you always around him? Why are you always with your girl? Why aren't you kicking it with your boys? I thought you'd be happy for me. I got married. I found the love of my life. I'm doing Yah's will. I'm taking care of my family. I don't have to chase girls at the club and stuff anymore. Why are you mad I don't have to chase anymore? Why don't you ask me what I did so that you can have the same thing? Right? You would think that would be what people would say, people would be happy for you. You would think that would be the case. Right? You would think that would be the case, that people would say something like that. Nope. Because they were what? They weren't for you. They were for what you were for. You my wingman. Right? You my chick. You my B. I'm your B. That's a constituent. Right? And don't get angry with them. They exhibited constituent behavior all the time. If you're angry with anybody, really don't even be angry at all. But if you're flustered or frustrated about a situation, be flustered with your decision making. You were not taught that you can't have 7,000 friends on Facebook. You were not taught that if you have 2 to 3 confidants the entirety of your life, you better consider yourself to be a blessed somebody. Right? That's why you'll let a confidant get away with you, but you'll keep chasing after constituents. They're for what you're for. You want to go on a date? You want to lay down in the bedroom? You want to do this? You want to do that? All this stuff. You love constituents. But I'm coming today to say, hey, show love to constituents, love them, but love them as constituents. Stop giving them confidant energy. Amen. You said you blessed. Amen. When you get see, that's why a lot of people don't want to go through the work of making a marriage work. Because you think of your spouse, you've never thought of them as a confidant. You want constituents. See, I need to remind you, be careful. Some of us want constituents. Some of us crave constituents. Some of us need constituents. Right? Some of us, how many constituents' phone numbers can I get? See, we don't say it like that. We don't think about it like that, but that's really what it is. How many numbers I'm going to get today of these constituents? Somebody that I don't even know is willing to go ahead and come to my house. I slide in their DMs. I don't even got to take them nowhere to eat, and they'll go ahead and they'll be with me. Uh-oh. Then get mad when they are constituents. I can't believe. Can you believe that this guy, he just came over, he laid down with me, then he ghosted me? I can't. Y'all never even talked about marriage. If he never talked about marriage, I don't expect him to act like a husband. See, once again, you got to be pre-qualified to be a husband, pre-qualified to be a wife. You don't even look to see if they're pre-qualified. Sex is marriage. Marriage is sex, but this is a different culture. If you want to be of the culture to where you can do whatever you want, however many times you want, et cetera, with how many people you want, you can go ahead and be part of that culture. But for those of you who say that you're supposed to be in righteousness, that means right, lawful standing, then there's some stuff you got to go by. How you doing, J-Mac? Just reached out to you a little earlier today. Right? Like, you got to be aware of what's going on. How you doing, Concrete Roseman? And everybody who's on the podcast, we thank you so much. And we hope to hear from you guys on the live session pretty soon. You got to be aware of this stuff. You got to be aware. Like, you're trying to process this stuff through the eyes that everybody's your confidant, that everybody's, or even somebody's your comrade. At least they're against what I'm against. Some people are for what you're for, and realize that they're going to be exactly for what you get. Right? Some people are for you as far as, hey, can you get me this qualification? As soon as I get this qualification, I don't need you no more. Hey, can you help me out to get this girl or whatever? Once I get this girl, some people like it's always wild. Like, I don't know how many people gone through this before. I've heard a lot of stories about it. I can't say I personally gone through it, but I have seen people who do this, where it's like you're going out with somebody, you dating somebody, you married to somebody, and then your friend, right, all of a sudden takes, or I won't even say, well, yeah, I guess you can say takes, or however you want to look at it, takes the person you're in a relationship with. Now they got a relationship, and here you are talking about, I can't believe they did, but they were never a confidant. You thought because they were around, how you doing, Hidden, right? You can send it to if you have Cash App, you can send it to the Cash App for the family that's in need. It should be in the description with the video. Or I think even the Cash App, I don't know if the Venmo's there, but the Cash App and other ways that you can send for the family. Just make sure that you put in the description with it that it's for the family in need, right? But you had you thought you had a confidant, but you had a constituent. You had somebody who was just for what you were for. And people who are for what you were for are dangerous, because if they see that you're getting something, guess what they're going to do? Oh, y'all don't want to hear this part? I apologize, y'all. I need to give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Okay, sorry. The device we were using for the podcast all of a sudden got down no battery. I didn't want to lose the recording on there, so I went to charge it real quick, right? But see, you were hanging out with a constituent and didn't realize it. So you got to keep constituents in their place. I was going to do this. I had this idea for a business, and I was going to do this. Next thing I know, my friend is doing the same business. I ain't seen them in years, but they're doing the same business, right? But you gave the vision to somebody who wasn't what? Who wasn't a confidant. They weren't going to help you to write down the vision and make the vision that you saw plain so that they could read it and run with it for you. You got with a constituent who who has a similar vision, saw what you had, took it, and made something else. Constituent is exactly what we're talking about today. Constituent is not somebody who's for what you're for. They're not even somebody who's against what you're against. I'm sorry, they're not somebody who's for you. They're not somebody who's against what you're against, even. That's a comrade, but there's somebody who's for what you are for. And you got to know the difference. That's why there's certain things people will say, well, where is this and where is that and where are you located, blah, blah. Like, I don't give that information to everybody. Not everybody's a confidant. Not everybody has proven, thank you, Minister Shante. Not everybody has proven that I can go ahead and trust them like that. See, the Most High is a confidant. He knows everything anyway. Might as well tell him. He's intimate with it. He knows it. My wife is a confidant. She's the only person allowed to see my nakedness, to see me as who I am. Right? My son is a confidant. I'm teaching him to be better than me by teaching him all of the stuff that's about me and his flaws that I raised him from inside the womb, technically. Right? So you see what I'm saying? There's people who have different levels of even being confidant. SOC people are confidants, but within that, there's a ministerial staff. Within that, there's people that reach out to people. Within that, there's people who I go to for advice. Within that, you see what I'm saying? There's a list. There's people that do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. There's people that give a lot of effort and energy in many different ways. They're confidants in different arenas. But see, there's some people who you're going to run across that are also constituents. They're not for you. They're not for Yastel. They're not for SOC. They're not for each other. They're not for your community, but they are for what you are for. You have a lot of allies that are just like, I want peace. But if peace costs blood, with somebody who's not part of your community, who just has a treaty, they're an ally. If peace costs blood, if blood needs to be shed, and Yashua shed his blood, that's why he's your confidant. Yashua lived what you lived and took on your sin. That's why he's your confidant. He could have said, you know what, I'm out. He said, look, is there any other way this can happen? Because I prefer this not happen. Some of y'all are mad at confidants because they prefer not to do what they're having to do for you. And you don't like that they'll tell you, I would prefer that you didn't get yourself in this situation in the first place. I would have preferred that you didn't do what you did. I would prefer that you didn't yell at me like you yelled at me. You don't like confidants because they're for you. But at the end of the day, because they're for you, nevertheless, thy will be done. I would prefer that some people who started off in this, who will tell you that we didn't start off necessarily with the best of terms, that they didn't like what I had to say, or they thought I was a narcissist and all this stuff, right? I would prefer that we started off different. Nevertheless, though, we said, what's more important? The community. The main thing is the main thing, the kingdom. And when we saw kingdom enough times, we said, okay, that's confident energy. They are for the kingdom. They're just not for what the kingdom gives. A lot of people are for what the kingdom gives. A lot of people just for what it gives. Everybody wants the blessing. Why won't you love me the way I want to be loved? Why won't you just give to me what I want to be given? Why won't you just treat me the way that I want to be treated? I want. You want this, but you're not interdependent. The Most High is not dependent on you, and you shouldn't be totally dependent on him. Right? But there should be interdependence. That's how marriage works. That's how marriage works. That's how marriage works. Just calcium, by the way, for anybody who don't freak out on me. Right? Just taking some calcium, right? I'm gonna be trying to do a lot more heavy calcium for the next little bit. But that's not how a kingdom works. That's not how a marriage works. A marriage is interdependence. The husband is not equal to the wife, and the wife is not equal to the husband. But when they come together and they're interdependent, it's a great thing. Might I show you something in scripture? The Holy Spirit gave me this rise, and this thing really blessed me. Genesis chapter 3. They eat of the tree of knowledge of what's righteous and what's evil, or the tree of what you call the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which really is technically just the vegetation of something that causes you to see something for what it's see something that you might not need to see. That's a better translation. But might I show you something? And two become one? Yeah. Adam was a confidant until he turned into a constituent. Thank you for the love. Appreciate it. Adam was a confidant until he turned into a constituent. That's part of the sin. I'm for you, Yehovah, and I'm for you, Eve, until times get hard. And then I revealed that I wasn't a confidant in the first place. I spoke confidant. I spoke confidantly. But I really was a constituent the whole time. Ooh, y'all don't want to go there. Hallelujah, right? Because some people that you get with, they speak confidant very well, but watch them. But watch them. There's a lot of people who speak confidant. But when the rubber meets the road, right? Because you were a confidant. You were even a confidant in the wrong. See, I thought you were confidant because you even ate the fruit with me. But if you really loved me, you would have rebuked me. You would have rebuked the eating of the fruit. You would have prayed for forgiveness. And since you were the head, nothing would have happened outside of I needing to make sure that I was covered in the prayers that you were covered in. And maybe an offering would have needed to be made. I don't know what the next step is. But see, it wasn't until Adam ate the fruit also that they both went into sin. Just because somebody's doing something bad with you. See, this is what you got to realize. This been my friend. We used to do this when I was in the world. Right? So even though they're not in the kingdom, we still do this together, blah, blah. I'm not telling you who to get rid of in your life, but I'm trying to tell you, look at the constituency here. We used to do this stuff when it was in the world. I know them. I know who they are. I really know what they be about, this and that or whatever. Like, but you're in the kingdom now. And if they're not in the kingdom, they're not going to be a confidant. Now, you might, if you're married to somebody who's not, guess what you got to do? You still have to have proper behavior, and you might cause them to become a confidant and come out of constituency. But you must recognize that if you're in the kingdom and the person that you with, the person that you hanging with, the person you rolling with, you're in the kingdom, they're not in the kingdom, they cannot be the confidant that you want to be. I'm not saying they can't show any confidant energy, but hear what I'm saying. They can't ultimately be for you because the kingdom of heaven is inside of you. So if they're anti what's inside of you, then they have to be a confidant at best. I mean, I'm sorry, they have to be a constituent at best. Oh, you don't want to go there. Hallelujah. Praise God. Thank you for the love. You hear what I'm saying? When you used to go to the club every night, you had a lot of people that knew you by name. It was like it was Cheers and you was Norm, right? Norm, right? Kofi, right? Come on. When you was wilding out, you was with a lot of people that wild out and loved how you wild out. But now that you staying calm and collected, now, oh, would you think you better or you bougie now? Right? You bougie now. Oh, we can't hang out with you. You bougie. You bougie. You this, you that. I'm not bougie. Right? But guess what? If we do hang out, then we're going to hang out in constituent lane. I know you're only here for what you can get from me, right? You'll give me stuff, but you'll only love me to the level of what you can get in return. Yeah, call you uppity and all that stuff. Remember, Yashua, he tried to come to his hometown and heal folk in his hometown. He had been healing everybody everywhere else, but he tried to come back to his hometown to give them the same miracles. But first thing he did was he had to preach the kingdom. He had to show what he was a confidant to. You in a world of your own, all these titles they give you, right? He had to give something that he was a confidant to. So he talked about the kingdom because he always spoke kingdom, and anybody want to be a confidant to the kingdom, that's when they got their healing. But he comes back to his hometown and he starts preaching kingdom, and he preaches it well, and they have no problem with any word that he said. The problem that they had with him is what? They said, how did he get this knowledge? So it wasn't about whether he was right or not. It was about how did you get it and I didn't get it. That's a constituent. You'll vote for somebody just because they're a Democrat, but then you say, I don't like the fact that they didn't go exactly the way that they wanted to. You'll vote for somebody just because they're a Republican, then you'll say, I don't like the way that they did. That's constituency. That's why if you are a Republican, you have a Republican constituency. If you are a Democrat, you have a Democratic constituency. And a lot of you are faithful to the constituent that only gives to you as long as they can get what they want out of it. And then you're upset that they got what they wanted out of it. A lot of your relationships are like that. You get married, never check to see if that was a confidant or if you were qualified to be a confidant, but you got with them as a constituent, got with them who was a constituent, and then you're mad because you didn't get what you wanted out of it. But you never started thinking to yourself, interdependence. I'm going to give them the best of me so that they can give me the best of them, and then we will have the best of each other, and we'll become one. But when the rubber met the road, just like Adam said, it was the woman. Oh, wait a minute. You said, this is bone of my bone, Adam. You said, this is flesh of my flesh. That's what you just finished saying. You just named all the animals, and the Most High had you name all the animals to show you that it is not righteous for you to be alone. The word alone is a compound word. It means all in one. It is not righteous for you to be all in one. You out here by yourself. Yes, you can do great things. How you doing, Minister Nice? Right? Like, yes, you can do great things. Yes, you can preach it. Yes, you can teach it. Yes, you can name it. Yes, you can go ahead. Yes, you can have a different countenance about you, but you're not what you need to be because you're all in one. No shade, right? Not trying to come against, not trying to make you feel bad, just real talk. You're all in one. You're alone. Thank you for loving. How you doing, Mayhew? You're trying to do everything by yourself. You're trying to be independent in an interdependent relationship. You need to learn interdependence. You can't do this without somebody else to be there. So then he puts him to sleep, and then he makes him a helpmate, somebody who can multiply what it is that he's going to in the mission that he has. And therefore, he will cover the one that multiplies him. But as soon as things got tough, as soon as he had to make a decision. Should I eat the fruit? Or should I make sure I am a confidant? I could be a constituent and just do what the person wants me to do, and we'll both go down together. But maybe we won't go down. Maybe there's something to it. Maybe, or I could be a confidant. Hey, baby, I love you too much to partake in that. Let's leave. Let's roll out. I could have been a confidant, even if it meant that you were gonna slap me in the face. But I'd rather you slap me than me see you deal with hell. Uh-oh. Y'all don't like that because y'all think I'm hell preaching. And maybe I am. Right? But you rather somebody be a confidant. How you doing again, Sister Carrie? You rather somebody be a constituent rather than a confidant. Yahshua says, if you love me, confidant status. If you love me, keep my commandments. Interdependence. Because why? Because I kept them myself. So if you love me, keep them. Confidant status. Instead, you look for somebody to tell you why you should disobey. That's constituency. We for the same thing, man. He knows your heart. He'll do. You can do whatever. It's not about that. But Yahshua, your husband, who's gone to prepare a place for thee. He said, if you love me, when I come back, I'm looking for a wife who's got oil in her lamp, who's anointed, who's doing what she's supposed to. She's the light of the world. I'm looking for my wife to have no spot or blemish. If you love me, keep my commandments. And somebody would try and hit and catch you with something. Well, you know you're just a man. You know you're just flesh. You can't keep all the commandments. That's what the blood is for. I loved you enough to where I already covered you. Before I left to prepare a place and add on to my father's house, his property, that's what a mansion is. Before I left the blood to cover you. You are lawfully taken care of. So do your best. If you mess up, repent and ask for forgiveness. And guess what? My father will forgive because I'm on the right-hand side saying, yep, that I already knew she did that. I already died for her. Remember, we had a leak. And the father says, that's right. Go ahead. Keep on building the mansion for her. Keep on adding a place for her to be able to come in where you are. Amen. Because hell is a real place. Amen, Minister Knight. Right? So in my father's house, there are many mansions. If it was not so, I would not have told you. I go to prepare a place. But it's interesting. We say that part, but we don't talk about the fact that he literally said, if you love me in the same area that John 13, 14, and 15, read that sometime together, all together. He says, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments. He says, I go to prepare a place for thee. He said, a new commandment I give unto thee, that you love one another the way that I have loved you. If I follow these commandments while loving you, then you should follow these commandments while loving me. But a lot of you got constituency. A lot of you are constituency. You're not confident. You'll find somebody else who will get you what you think you want, and you're going to work your way out of the kingdom. How you doing, Brooklyn Butterfly? Oh, you can find somebody to help you, but you're going to work your way out the kingdom. Be careful when you're a constituent. Be careful when you're dealing with constituency. Be careful when you're dealing with constituency. What I say? Be careful when you're dealing with constituency. Because constituents, yes, they are nice and everything, but they are not for you. They're not for the kingdom. They're not for where you're going. They're not for your vision. They are for what you are for. And the second that they realize that there's somebody that can get them what they want and make it easier for them, and by the way, make it where they don't have to put in any work. And by the way, if it's not the vision of the Most High, they don't care. As long as it gets them what they need in the moment, they're quick to leave. I'm not saying everybody that leaves or anybody that leaves SOC or anybody that decides to not be part of the group anymore, they are ultimately a constituent. That can be a seasonal thing. But here what I'm saying is that there are going to be a lot of people that you and your personal life come from. Or as you go through your personal life, excuse me, you must comprehend that you can't keep giving place to constituents before you give place to confidants. Are you a confidant today? You said you thought the kingdom of heaven was inside? Sure. So if the kingdom of heaven is inside of you, and somebody, once again, we were talking about this earlier, like if the kingdom of heaven's inside you, right, and you're a confidant of the kingdom, Yahshua's inside you, you're a confidant of Yahshua, right, and somebody's against the kingdom, then they would be a constituent. They would be somebody who's not for you, they're for what you're for. Because inside you is the kingdom, right? Like game recognized game, kingdom recognized kingdom. You felt that in your bones. Hallelujah. Praise Yah. Right? Just game recognized game. That's what they say, right? Well, kings recognize kings. Queens recognize queens. Royalty recognize royalty. Are you a royal priesthood? Priests recognize priests. I hear a priest speaking, I know that's a priest. You ain't got to tell me twice, right? Somebody say, oh, what do you think about blah, blah? Like, look, I can sell in the presentation, the way I'm not trying to say I'm everything, but I've been doing it long enough. Like, you speak this thing correctly, I know. because I'm intimate with the one who spoke everything into existence. realize, I haven't heard that one before. I like that. Right? So I'm trying to tell you, be careful about this. Just a reminder today, be careful about this constituency, these constituents, constituent energy. It's going to get you in trouble every time. Right? It's going to get you in trouble every time. Right? Every time it's going to get you in trouble. You got to be careful about constituents. Shalom, shalom, Braille. How you doing? Be careful about constituents. Be careful about people who are not for you, but they're for what you're for. Be careful about the person who wants the gold and doesn't realize that heaven is being paved with gold right now. See, there's so much abundance of gold in heaven that they make golden tools to make the golden road. But you just want the gold right now rather than walking down the golden road. Do you hear what did you catch that? That's a bar, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. That's a bar, right? Like some of y'all are so entrenched. That's what the Balaam doctrine is about. Somebody was paid off with gold to make a false doctrine about Israel. And you're warned about it in Revelation. You said, does this preacher say, well, no, I wouldn't be a Jew because I'm not Ashkenazi. I'm Yehovah Da'ayin. If you know what Yehovah Da'ayin is, then you would know that's Avda. If you know what Avda is, you would know that's what you equate to Hebrew and by blood, E1B1A. So I have to be accepted as my tribe does, no matter how you want to address it. But you could just ask me instead of saying that's the preacher. Identifying as it, right? If it's your way of saying hello, how you doing, right? So you have to realize, right? Like what's going on with that is like there's a lot of people with constituent energy. Are you going to say it the way I want you to say? Are you going to do it the way I want you to do it? No, I'm a confidant of the King. You said Native American, sure. That's why I would be also Tisalagi. That's why I would also be Omekshi. That's what I also be Anakitawaya. You might call some of it Cherokee as well. Like, so yeah. And my family also runs the Seminole, Creek, Choctaw, etc. So yeah. But once again, and you're dealing with the same people if you even know what happened on the map and all that stuff and how the world broke apart and how some people went across the Bering Strait, yada, yada, yada. So yeah, but once again, see what I'm saying? A lot of people are out here being like, oh, I got to do, like, you have to have, are you a confidant of this? I know 2nd Esdras chapter 13, verses 40 through 45. You know what I'm saying? Right? Do you know it? That's confidant energy. You become confident when you're a confidant. You don't even know they're the same word. Once again, in actual English or actual Anglo, a lot of these letters, especially vowels, are interchangeable. So when somebody's confident, it's really saying I'm a confidant of it. If I'm confident in speaking, it's because I'm a confidant of speaking. I'm for speaking. I study it. I meditate in it. If I'm confident in the Most High, if you say I'm not confident in what the Most High has for me, it might be because you're not his confidant yet. So in order to move confidently, I must gain what? Confidence. You must be persuaded. Persuaded doesn't mean I have to manipulate you. Persuaded means that I've been given enough contextual facts that there's nothing that you can tell me that's different. Right? I had a hope in it. I wasn't confident, but I hoped in it. I wasn't quite confident, but then I started walking in what I was hoping for and became more confident in it. That's when it turns into faith. And then when I started walking in that faith, it started turning to manifestation. That was confidence that took me from hope to faith to manifestation. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not yet seen. Right? You hear what I'm saying? So confidant is what you want. Walk confidently. Right? When confidence meets competence, oh, that's a beautiful thing. A lot of people are competent, but you have no confidence because you are not aware is what it is. You have a gift, but you're not crafting it. You're not honing it. You're not refining it. You're not purifying it. You're not practicing it. Right? But the more you do it, you become what? A confidant. And so in this season, in this, as we get ready to take our leave, because we got to get ready for the live session coming up, or the podcast coming up, Minister Morel is going to give us a word for the next 2 Saturdays. Shabbat shalom to everybody. I know it's not our Shabbat. Our Shabbat is coming up, in a few days. But if you're going by the Gregorian, Julian calendar, etc., we thank you so much for Shabbat shalom to you. Shalom alat sham yachava. Right? And we're thankful for you being on today. I appreciate you. We normally go longer than this, but Saturdays we keep short. We're gonna have somebody come and give us a word at 10. We're excited about that 10 a.m. Eastern New York time. If you don't have the information for the podcast, I will do my best to try and make sure that you can see the stuff behind the scenes. I'm sorry, you can see what's going on and see some pictures and things like that in a little bit to give some information to be able to work with us if you'd like to, or even to learn more about it. If we have different meetups, different classes, or whatever you would like more information for what's going on in your area, we'll make sure that we try to get that stuff to you ASAP. And we appreciate you so very much. And thank you again. As a reminder, just for today, we are working on the March newsletter. So the March newsletter is not out yet. Uh-oh. I don't know what just happened. The March newsletter is not out yet, but we are working on it. So that'll be coming to you guys very soon. And we'll have that information ready to go for you guys very soon. In the meantime, March newsletter coming out very soon. Oh, as a reminder for today, those of you that are in Florida, we'll have a Zoom meeting for you guys at 11 a.m. So we have the podcast at 10, 11 a.m. Zoom meeting just for those that are in Florida. If we have your information already, if not, and you give us your information today, I will do my best to try and get this stuff to you. If you haven't gotten the Zoom link as of yet, it doesn't mean it's not coming. A lot of you've gotten it already. I'm going to go during the podcast. Even I'm going to be checking on that stuff, trying to make sure that we get everybody this stuff. But please be available, and if you can, be ready at 11 a.m. If you're in Florida, Zoom meeting just for you. At 12:30 p.m. Eastern New York time today, the Northeast region will have a Zoom meeting just for you. That's New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Maine, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, right? Not Pennsylvania, everything above Pennsylvania, okay? So we'll have a Zoom meeting just for you guys at 12:30 p.m. Eastern New York time. So if you can be ready for that, please be ready. Please, ma'am, please, sir. And lastly, at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time, we're going to have a Zoom meeting just for those in Pennsylvania and the DMV. And when I say the DMV, I mean the whole state of Maryland, whole state of Virginia, okay? So if you're in at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time, we'll have a Zoom meeting just for you. Once again, even if you haven't gotten the link yet, just make sure that we get your information. We'll either text it to you, email it to you, or make sure that you get it via DM, direct message, okay? So check your stuff. Have those times available today. Even if you can't talk, speak, whatever. Just being there, we're trying to make sure we learn more about each other, grow, feel safe around each other, maybe even change, if people feel like exchanging numbers or emails or information. And that way we can get closer, because Passover is coming upon us, and we'd like for all the regions across the United States of America, specifically, but even those in England or the United Kingdom, those who are in Jamaica, and we have Bahamians coming on now more regularly all over the world, right? We're having a little bit of touch with Australia again, things like that. So those of you that are in different places, wherever you are, maybe we can put something together for you as well. And especially when we start traveling some more, going into this, coming out of the winter season, when we start getting on the road a lot more, as we start seeing you guys in person, and you guys are already seeing each other in person, we can make sure we do this as a family, right? So that also reminds me that next Saturday, which is March 11th at 11 a.m. Eastern New York time, we're going to have a Zoom meeting for everybody. So I think we've hit all the regions by now, right? So we've hit all the regions, had all these Zoom meetings and stuff, multiple Zoom meetings. We've had some meetups already in certain places. So we're going to hit all the regions. Please come together if you can do March 11th, 11 a.m. Eastern New York time. And all of the moderators, we're asking you guys to show up for a Zoom meeting at 12:30 that day. All right. But so we thank you guys. We appreciate you. We'll have the podcast information up soon. You got to have the Podbean app if you want to join us live today. You can always listen to it on multiple platforms later on. But if you want to join us live, you got to have the Podbean app. But that stuff's going to be up in a second. And on TikTok, we do what we call a shout out at the end. So we'll be able to get your information there in a second, okay? So once the music starts playing for the shout out, if you guys can, put your information in there for me. And but just wait till the music starts playing if you're on TikTok. For everybody else, we thank you once again for being on. We praise Yahweh. Thanks you for being on today. We appreciate you. And thank you for all the things you guys do behind the scenes. Bavakasha. We wish you shalom on this day of rest, Shabbat shalom. And what we would like for you, and if you guys are still interested in helping the family, of course, you can go ahead and make sure that you still continue to give to them. Just make sure that you indicate in the description in whatever way you're giving. Make sure you indicate in the description it's going specifically to the family in need, okay? If you wanted to go something else, that's fine too. But just if you give it to the family, we appreciate you. We're sending it as we get it. As soon as it comes in, it's already been instructed, give it to the family. So whatever you've given, I'm not even seeing it at all. It's not even close to coming into account. So please make sure it's in the description. We're trying to make sure it goes straight to the family. Okay. And thank you guys for who've been helping so far. You guys have raised a few hundred for them already to help, and it helps out a lot. They still need some help, but it's definitely helping them already from what I've been seeing or what I've been told. So I want to just tell you guys, thank you for that. And I appreciate you. And we honor your giving. I think that's all I got. Oh, please check out my wife, as always, the Honorable Maya, on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A and D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She's a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. For those who would like to support her business, and that's her business. This is nonprofit, of course, but what she's doing, she has a nonprofit, but she also has her business. If you'd like to be able to support it, feel free to learn more about it. If you'd like to be able to do some stuff as far as get some tinctures, even like things like syrup or different things you can eat and drink out of, or even a consultation, her to be able to look at medical records, whatever the case might be, she's willing to do those things and help you out in the best capacity that she can, to help you to be able to grow and to learn and to even maybe if you just want to do some stuff that's preventative. So we thank you in advance for that. And that's all that I have. Don't forget, the podcast is coming up, 10 a.m. Eastern New York time. Those who are on TikTok, just stay with us for a little bit, and we'll make sure that we have some more info for you guys in a hot second. But thank you for being on once again. And as always, it's been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Secretary. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Last thing. Please make sure that you're saving up, right? We're going to be doing the Feast of Tabernacles camping. It's not going to be wilderness camping, but it will be outside, right? We showed you guys stuff. I have the pictures one more again, just for a little bit after today. I'm not sure if I'm going to have the same pictures up, but you can look up the campgrounds. I think I called it campgrounds, but it's on TikTok. If you want to scroll through our TikTok stuff, it's on YouTube. It's on Patreon. And I haven't put it on Facebook yet, so it will be on Facebook as far as you being able to find the link. So you'll be able to see what it looks like. I'll have some more videos coming up in a little bit to be able to explain some of this stuff. But once again, remember, it's a week. If you want to be there all 7, it's really, we're going by days of 2. So if you want to be there 8 days, 7 to 8 days, right? But if you want to do 1 to 2 days, it's 300. We're asking for a donation for. Right, so if you do 300, and we're going to have some stuff for you to fill out soon, and you can always contact us for more questions, right? I'm not going to say where it is publicly as of yet. I'm very big on security, but we will have security. We are going to have a hospital. We are going to have food taken care of. If you want to go ahead and get away for a little bit because you don't like being out there or whatever, there are places that they have just about everything around, everything you're used to. It's probably going to be like 5 to 10 minutes in either direction. So, and of course, there'll be many things that we're going to be doing there. It's not just going to be being outside. There'll be games that we'll play. There'll be cards if you want. There'll be, sports stuff. We'll have access to signal. We will be able to charge our devices and stuff like that. So you're not just going to be stuck out there. But if you want to be there 1 to 2 days, we're asking for a $300 donation. Right, that's going to be $150 a night, right? Which is kind of what a lot of people do for their vacations, anyways. In case you think that's too much, if you were to do 4 days, 3 or 4 days, we're asking for a $350 donation. That's going to take care of. That's going to be $87.50 a night. If you decide to be there 5 to 6 days, right? That's going to be, we're asking for a $400 donation. That's going to be about $66.67 a night. And if you're doing 7 to 8 days, then we're asking for a $450 donation. That's going to be about $58 and some change a night. All right. So if you're interested, as the stuff comes up, just be aware of that. Let us know as you get more information. Hopefully we'll have something for you guys to fill out. If not at the end of next week, definitely by the beginning of the week thereafter. But I'm hoping for next week, we're hoping to have a meeting, and we got about 8 to 10 people already ready to go that are already coming in with ideas and coming in hot and ready to do this, that, or whatever. So it's moving nicely. We do have to have this be an actual donation. Like, we do need to know, or not an actual donation, it has to be a suggested donation. So we have to have that amount if we're going to take care of all the people that are coming, especially food wise, if nothing else, right? Especially food wise and activity wise. And if we get enough people that come, if we want to do something like get a charter bus for 1 day or something like that, we got to make sure that we have all this stuff in place. So if we want to have somebody rent, or we want to do a renting of the van or anything like that, we got to have this stuff in place. Okay. Just want to make sure that we put that out there. So, but thank y'all. Appreciate you. Thank you so much, family. And it's not, so basically talk to us. If you're bringing, I guess we can say per family, or even per group, we can have a conversation on what that looks like. But yeah, if you got a family and you happen to have 10 people in your family, like we'll see. right? We'll see. We might be able to do it for $450. We might just be like, maybe you put an extra 50 in there or whatever, and we'll take care of mama and them who are coming to or something like that, right? But so we'll have discussion. But yeah, it's not per person. So it's not $450. If you got 5 people coming, I'm not asking for $450 per person, right? If you got a mother, a father, and 3 children, if you got a mom and 3 babies, right? Whatever the case might be in your situation, and you feel like coming, come on in, right? And our goal is to help out. And even if you need help with getting there, or if you need help, now we can't get you there per se, but if you need help, there are people who in the past have already picked up people. We once again want to make sure y'all talk to each other, learn about each other. We might even have somebody, if they're in the area, we say come out to some meetups. We want to make sure that we can trust each other. But we have had people pick people up and take them places along the way, even go outside of where they were supposed to go to get people there. All right. So once again, last time, and then I got to go ahead and take my lead because we got to get on the podcast, and we still got to do our shout out and everything, right? But last time for today, Zoom meetings only at 11 a.m. If you're in Florida, we have a Zoom meeting just for you. 12:30 p.m. if you're in the Northeast region. That's everything above Pennsylvania in the Northeast. Talking about New York, Delaware, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Maine, New Jersey. Not sure if I hit everybody up there, but basically those that are up there. We're going to have a Zoom meeting just for you guys, 12:30 p.m. Eastern New York time. If you haven't gotten the link yet, don't worry about it. It's coming. I'm asking you to set aside a time and trust it'll be there, whether we have your text, your email, or your DM. If it gets to be close to the time we're supposed to start and I still haven't gotten it to you, feel free to go ahead and be like, hey, Kofi, I need it, right? But if we have your information, we'll make sure we get back to you beforehand. And then lastly, those that are in the DMV and Pennsylvania. When I say the DMV, I mean all of Virginia and I mean all of Maryland. I know Baltimore, right, ain't part of the DMV, but hear what I'm saying. I mean all Maryland, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and Pennsylvania. We'll have a Zoom meeting for you guys at 2:00 p.m. Eastern New York time. All righty? Okay, and then if the Zoom meeting for everybody coming together as SOC, that'll be next Saturday, March 11th at 11 a.m. All right. You haven't gotten the link? Okay, so like I said, just hang in there with us. We'll get it to you ASAP. If we haven't gotten it to you yet, it's coming. All I'm asking right now is just make sure you're ready for the time because you should have the Zoom link before then. Okay, so I thank you. I appreciate you. And we honor you. Thank you so much for giving us your time, talent, effort, energy, greatness, all that stuff. And yes, even some of you who do stuff as far as finances. Once again, so just hang in there with me. I got to go ahead and take our leave. Just peep game and just stay with us just for a little bit, all right? But I thank you guys. I got to go ahead, let the music play so we can do our shout out. If you're on TikTok, wait for the shout out and you get further instructions. As always, it's been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant to Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, but being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken until we have the great privilege, opportunity, and responsibility of being in front of you all again. Please remember, as always, Yashadel, that you are loved, you are necessary, you're majestic, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shabbat Shalom, family, peace. How you doing, Minister Moselle? Thank you so much for being on. All righty. So now that we have that, right? Now that we have that taken care of,